I was just in high school. A friend of mine who was one of the leaders of our youth group, he had a job at a studio, but he was faking half of what he was doing. He said, I need to learn really what the control board does. And he said, I've got some free time. Why don't you come record your songs? And he went back to his studio and he was running off a tape copy. And Chris came down, and his old college roommate, he said, I've gotten a call from Word Records. They want to launch a contemporary label, and they want to launch it with 12 artists. They can't even find 12 artists. And then Chris goes, who's that? And he said, that's Amy Grant. And Chris said, let me call the record company. And he played that cassette over the phone. And the guy said, she doesn't sound great, but she sounds sincere. In the fall of 1981, Mike said, we're going to do a different recording experience this time. I've rented Caribou Ranch for 2 weeks. We're going to take all the musicians and their families are going, and you're going to cut however many tracks. And it was unbelievable. We made 4 records there. And when we were there, Jimmy Guercio, that owned Caribou Ranch and started CMT, he heard the tracks and he said, this will be the first million-selling contemporary Christian record. We're looking at him like, sometime in this last year, I was so unsettled by a lot of stuff. I was really battling my just faith. And I was like, are you really here? Because I got nothing. I felt my hands kind of twitch, and I started to laugh. I said, are you dancing with me? I don't know what that was. All I know is I walked out, I was in tears, and said, are you there? That was as big as the prayer went. And I brought nothing to the table. And I walked back in and fell asleep, and I felt at peace. And honestly, sometimes I feel like I know less now than I was sure of when I was younger.
Yes.
And people go, oh, you've just been such a faithful example. And I go, me? Because my prayer is, when I say it with words, just, God, don't let me go. Just hang on. Just don't let me go.
The fork in the road is pretty clear, at least for me, for it being an addict. I always had an agreement with God. But you take one of my kids and all bets are off. When it happened, I couldn't have been less likely to take that road. I felt a closeness towards heaven and eternity and all of the dogmatic things that I learned, which may or may not be right. I just don't care about your dogma or my dogma. I'm willing to be wrong about all of that, because I just want a relationship with the God I know is there and I can feel him. And it's the first time with this tragedy that I ever felt him. God shows up if you're paying attention. Not always the way we want him to, but